What's happening, everybody? I want to give my 2 cents on a well-known hairstyle that somehow, some way, is kind of like making a comeback. Now, if you're as old as I am, you know this hairstyle. It is, of course, the mullet. Short in front, long in back. That was basically the whole style. You know, a little bit of short hair in the front, in your face, by the ears, and a long in the back there. Business in front, party in the back. That was the motive behind that style. Now, if you look at old photographs from the 1980s and 1970s, you'll see a lot of 80s musicians sporting that hairstyle. You remember Paul McCartney had that style and throughout the 70s during his days with the band Wings. Who cannot also forget Keith Richards had that style for a couple years there. And who cannot forget David Bowie's famous red mullet during his Ziggy Stardust gimmick. Of course, other artists throughout the 1980s would capitalize it as well. I remember Phil Collins. He grew the back of his hair out pretty long. Little Richard did the same thing. Don Johnson had the same hairstyle during his last few years with Miami Vice. In fact, when he had his hair in a ponytail for a while, that was a big craze, believe it or not. Then throughout the 90s, it kind of like became parodied and dissed on by a lot of the alternative kids out there because they associate it with redneck males and the southern areas there. Because a lot of the southern guys out there were still sporting that haircut. So the mullet kind of like went bye-bye for a while, but now I found out on the one of the cable news networks, as well as the some of the sites I've seen on the internet, that it somehow, some way, is making somewhat of a comeback. Mostly women has been sporting this new. It's called the new modern mullet. You know. But the difference is, for the girls, it's easy to live it all, hang out in the back while it's short in the front. Well, not necessarily all short, but a little bit, a lot over the ears and like a bang haircut as well. Kind of like more like a space alternative mullet look, I guess you could call it. Now for the guys, little bit, not so much long and back, but a little bit here is what their style is currently trending on. Basically, from a couple of people, I've seen a couple of hairstyles that men today have been sporting, along with the wild dudes and the beards that they've been sporting in various photographs. And while we was on the subject, I figured I'd bring out some couple other mullets that were famous in the 80s and the 90s. Later 90s, I meant to say. We start with Michael Schenker, the former guitarist of the Scorpions and UFO. He had a blonde-haired mullet for most of the 1980s. And also James Hadfield of Metallica, who you remember during the somewhere after 1994, after Woodstock for 94, he kind of like gave himself everything. Everything was shaved except for the back. Of course, when he just started work on that album Load, he decided to just cut the back off and leave it short hereafter. I guess when you ask about it today, you'll probably say, oh gosh, what was I thinking with that particular hairstyle? I do admit that style was kind of a little too far out there. But it's kind of odd, you know, that something so long ago and often so mocked is now come back and embraced. Just like either whether it's a rock band, a movie, or a certain song. I remember we were discussing the song "One in a Million" by Guns N' Roses. Back in 1988, when it first came out, people were decrying Axl Rose as a racist, a homophobic, you know, because of the content of the song. Whereas in 2020, songs kind of seems relevant now. With all these riots, police brutality cases, Black Lives Matter. And also, let's not forget the sexual abuse that Axl Rose went through as a kid from both his birth father and his stepdad. Something like that happens, you're not going to be too gay friendly. That's for sure. Okay, I thought I'd give my thoughts on that particular subject. I'm Dr. Earl. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel. Hit that like button. Leave some comments below. Alright? Have a good one.